Can you make good money running a coffee shop? If you ask around, some people will tell you it's not even worth it. And there's others who'll say it's the license to print money. They're charging $18 for avocado toast. I could buy a whole box for that. So which is it, a good business or a dead end? If we look at the industry benchmarks, the average coffee shop makes around 5% net profit. So for a typical cafe turning over $700,000 a year, that leaves the owners with around $35,000 to pay loans, taxes, and maybe have a little bit left over. Now, I don't know about you, but that's not particularly compelling when you've just worked a 70-hour week. But here's what the averages don't show you. While many businesses are just scraping by, some are earning a whole lot more than that. So the question isn't really, is a coffee shop a good business? It's really more like, what are they doing differently? So today I'm going to show you 5 keys that I've learned from successful long-term cafe owners and that I've also put to work in my own coffee shop. To be clear, these aren't a magic formula. Success still takes work. But I can tell you from personal experience, when you get the fundamentals right, the work can pay off. So it's the same in any business. You really have to know your numbers. I get it, not everyone is great with financials. But at the same time, I've never met a really successful cafe owner that didn't have a good understanding of the most important benchmarks in their business. Now, fortunately, the maths I'm talking about is really simple. It starts by getting familiar with a profit and loss report, also called a P&L or an income statement. Now, I'm not going into every detail today. We'll save that for another time. But in simple terms, it's got sales at the top, expenses below that, and net profit at the bottom. And the net profit here is looking good, well above average. So how are they doing it? Well, they're doing it by carefully controlling 3 key percentages: cost of goods, rent, and wages. These are the 3 biggest expenses in just about every cafe. By measuring these regularly, then we know where the opportunities are. We can start to make changes to get these on the right track. Now, the good news, if you use an accounting system like Xero or MYOB, this report is sitting there waiting for you. Now, to get accurate numbers, you do need to set up your income and expenses correctly, and you need to connect the accounting system to your bank feed. Well, once that's done, you can run the report and get some really useful info. So now that we know where we stand, we can compare our numbers to the best practice in the industry. A quick caveat with benchmarks: every business is different. So some won't be able to hit the best practice numbers for a variety of reasons. And these numbers will also vary in different parts of the world. Some countries have lower labour costs, for example. So use benchmarks more as a guide than a rule, and work out your own targets based on your situation. And of course, knowing your numbers is not the same as controlling them. That starts at the very top, by growing sales. Now, most people start by doing the opposite. They cut costs. They reduce labour hours, they hire younger staff, buy cheaper ingredients. That will improve margins for a time, but then sales start to fall as service gets slower and products aren't as good as they once were. So with less sales, then you've got to keep cutting, and so it goes until there's nothing left to cut. There really is no way around it. To have a successful, sustainable business, you have to find a way to grow sales over time. Costs will always creep up, but focusing on growing sales helps to reduce the percentage of fixed costs like rent, and it gives you the momentum needed to start controlling variable costs like wages. Now, at this point, most people will jump right into marketing ideas, social media, discounts, loyalty programs. While those things can help, I've found there really is no substitute for getting the fundamentals right. Consistently good food, coffee and service, and a great atmosphere. Now, these things are easy to say, but they're really hard to objectively measure when you work inside a business all day, every day. It's a really valuable thing to get some honest and sometimes painful feedback from other business owners and industry professionals that are outside your business. The other way to increase sales is painfully simple: increase prices. Most cafe owners I've met are terrified of increasing prices. And in truth, it's just an unavoidable part of being in business. And it's better to act early than wait until rising costs have eaten away all your product margins. But there's also another way to improve margins that most cafes completely miss: improving efficiency. No one likes inefficient service. It's bad for customers, staff hate it, and it costs you money you didn't even know you were spending. Here's the problem. Let's say you normally roster 2 staff on shift. If sales grow by 20%, then you can either add another person to the shift, which eats up all the extra profit, or you can keep it at 2 people, service is slow, and sales drop back to where they were in the first place. Neither is a great outcome. The smart way is to focus on efficiency. That is, make your team more productive without using extra time and effort. In doing this, you can control costs and grow sales at the same time. So here are a few practical ways to do it. You can simplify your menu. The more items and ingredients you have, the more time is eaten up on service, with managing orders and product waste. Complexity often creeps in over time, and one extra process doesn't seem like a big deal, but a whole lot of little processes add up to less efficiency and slower service. You can improve your workflow, arrange equipment, benches and furniture to minimise the amount of running around by staff. You can automate repetitive processes, automatic grinders, tamping robots, milk steamers and contactless card systems are just a few examples. Robots are our friends, most of the time. The mix of products that you sell are not all equal. Some menu items have high margins, others have low margins. If we end up selling lots of the low margin products, then that's going to reduce our overall gross profit. So by finding out exactly which products are profitable and which aren't, we can focus on selling more of the high margin products and work out ways to improve margins on the low margin products. Now, if you've discovered the reports section of your cash register, try taking a look at the product mix report. This will show you which products are driving the most sales. Now, to work out margin, you'll need to add up the cost of each ingredient and divide this by the selling price. This is what's called the gross profit. Yes, this can be time consuming if you've got a big menu. My tip is to do this when you add a new product to the menu. Grab a set of scales, measure each ingredient. Now enter this into a spreadsheet and you can compare the margins with the rest of your menu. Either way, once you've worked out your product mix, then think of your menu like a football team. If a product isn't performing, then it's time to put it on the bench and bring on some fresh legs. Those low selling, low margin products are dragging down your overall profit. So let's assume that sales are growing and we've improved efficiency. Now there's a good chance we've got the opportunity to increase capacity of the business. You can do that by removing barriers, like adding more tables so customers don't walk away when you're full. You can also do this by attracting a new segment of customers, like say opening earlier to attract commuters. There's a few other ways you can increase capacity. Speed up service times. Quicker service means people are more likely to come back more often. It's incredibly simple, but so many cafes are just way too slow, and it limits capacity. You can also review your trading hours. Adding to your opening hours can be slow at first, but it can pay off in the long run. You can also offer incentives or discounts for customers to visit during quiet periods, or you could add mobile ordering or even delivery. Okay, so we've really only scratched the surface on cafe profitability today. Coming up, we're going to really dig into the details of what makes a cafe profitable and what you can do to improve it.